world should be worried about when I come back.
Yeah, that's how alphas are. Look, he's basically channeling his inner Kevin Durant. He's basically telling the league, you know who I am, and you know what it'll be like when I come back. So don't start tripping about when I'm going to come back. Just know this: when I do, and I'm feeling right, as Gerald's going to talk about, you know what you have to worry about, and that's exactly what you expect from a guy like this. He's dominated every level of football in his entire life. I would expect it to be nothing different, or let's just say I would expect him to not act any other way than exactly how he acted. Right?
Fair enough. Are they? I guess I want to ask you the question: this team that everyone says is ruining baseball because they're too good, are they actually in a little bit of trouble?
I don't think they're in trouble. And, Jesse just talked about the fact that they're going to get Blake Snell mostly back next year or next week. Is going to be back to that rotation. Tyler Glasnow, Terry School, we saw the stuff. And let's face it, Ohtani, he's hitting 500 over the last 2 weeks. The slug hasn't been there, but, the dude is definitely hitting. And I think about him just returning to pitching. He will. This is what the Dodgers do. They slow play it because they can, Greeny. They're still sitting, yes, second of all teams in the National League. They're going to be in the postseason. So why rush back some of their stars? It frustrates a lot of teams in baseball, but the fact is they went and got Terry School. Why? So they can do this with Shohei Ohtani. Allow him to get back. So ultimately, he's at his best with Tyler Glasnow, with Blake Snell, and oh, by the way, their ace Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who threw 8 innings on Saturday.
They have the car, but can they drive it?
Yeah, Ed, one thing you're going to learn about me, Greeny, is I'm always going to have some superhero reference.
Yes,
some
please.
type of comic book reference.
Right.
It's almost like the Atlanta Falcons were going after the Soul Stone.
Okay.
So in the Infinity Gauntlet, to get the Soul Stone, you had to give up a soul to get a soul. So to sign Bijan Robinson, it's like we got to give up something. So Jalen Walker gets hurt, but we get Bijan Robinson. It's like, well, we didn't want to go soul for soul. We need them all.
Right.
But the way they're building this team, I believe they're building it properly, but they need the quarterback. And Lewis talked about this earlier. It's not like they didn't go after the quarterback. It's getting the right quarterback to put this thing all together because the pieces are there. The offense is set in place, but it's not just going to be smooth sailing immediately because it's a new coach and they got to get adjusted.
What do you think?
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Look, if you've ever had the privilege, I've had the privilege of being on a headset on game day just to hear it from a coach's perspective. It's chaos, dude. It's chaos, and these guys are trying to learn one another. It's one thing to call plays in practice and script a 7-on-7 in team period. It's another when you've got 90,000 people and people are actually hitting your quarterback, and actually hunting them and putting them down. They're going to have to learn each other the first quarter of the season. It's going to be like an extended training camp. But this team is talented, and there's a reason why Declan Doyle is thought of the way he is, and we already know who Lamar is. Lamar has already said, you know who I am.
The good news is, though, there is familiarity. Minter, Anthony Weaver, I've talked to him about it up there, defensive coordinator. Yeah. He is familiar with that system, as familiar as anybody. So the Ravens culture is still in place up there, even though Harbaugh's gone. This is not a completely fresh start.
This was a team that 2 months ago we thought were going to be sellers at the deadline. Now, all of a sudden, do they look like a team that will be playing at the end of October to you?
They certainly do. They have that chance to go far based on what we've seen lately. And I picked them to win the division, Greeny, back in April or March. And they're finally doing what they're supposed to be doing, playing good baseball. First in OPS during that time frame and that you mentioned, and first in ERA, doing it without Garrett Crochet as well. I remember being on Buster Olney's podcast back when they fired Alex Cora, and I said, this is an interesting promotion for Chad Tracy. He has some pedigree in the game. He's a young guy that knows the young players. They didn't just hire a babysitter as an interim manager. It took some time, but they're gelling. Quick personal story. My 23-year-old son was at Fenway for the first time in his life last night. He went to WashU University. Why is that important? Because Kayla Durbin went to WashU. And my son texted me, when you're getting grand slams from Division III WashU players, maybe it's your year. So maybe sky's the limit for them. I like them back in February and March. They're finally playing good baseball.
Asking you right now, is it the Patriots division or the Bills division this year?
It's still the Bills division. Okay, it won't be the Patriots division until I see them win without the schedule they had. And people are like, oh, well, they split last year. Yeah, but I look at what happened once they got in the playoffs. Gerald, they went to the Super Bowl. Yes, but I look at this offense that the Patriots had. They were averaging 28 points in the regular season. They didn't face a top 10 defense all year. As soon as they got in the playoffs, 28 went all the way down to 16. Whereas you have Josh Allen, they call him Superman because he does more with less. We see what he did with Stephon Diggs. Now he has another number one wide receiver in DJ Moore. James Cook led the league in rushing. You put all that together, you partner with Joe Brady, It is their division to lose.
He says Buffalo. What do you say, Lewis?
Look, I think it is. I like the Patriots. I do. I like what they've done. Look, I know people want to point to last year's schedule. I don't care about last year's schedule because I think this football team has made a lot of significant improvements this year. This offensive line has been beefed up. It's going to be better. The running game has a two-headed monster. They have power. They've got speed. They've got a number one wide receiver now that they had no one who looked anything like A.J. Brown last year. The key to me is defensively on the edges. Can they rush the passer? Is Gabe Jacobs going to be a guy who can wind up becoming a dude who can be a double-digit sack guy? Is Draymond Jones going to be good enough for them? Inside, they'll rip your heart out with Milton Williams. Look, they have enough interior push. It's the outside guys. They got a great secondary, and here's the thing that I love about the Patriots more than anything. They are well coached. And they are built for high-pressure moments from the way in which they are prepared and the way in which they're coached. That's why I think, look, it's going to be a dogfight for sure. I still think I'm going to give the edge to them. I just like what they've done this offseason.
They're in a division where both could easily get in. I think that Buffalo and New England could both wind up in the playoffs.
They both did last year, of course.
So as much as it's like who's going to win the division, I could see both of them in the postseason.
The reason why you have some concern about them making the huge jump. Let's just say that they can just be middle of the pack is because the guys who are at the command and control center, and I know exactly what Gerald is talking about. Look, up front they're stout, right down the middle. You're not going to be able to just gut them right down the middle. It's the communication piece on the second and third level. Like Caleb, he's probably going to be able to handle it. He handled it at Ohio State. Matt Patricia's defense is as hard as any defense in the NFL as far as the volume and the kind of responsibility that you have. If Caleb can hold it down, literally, DeMarvion Overshown comes back. Jaysean Barham is going to play some off-ball linebacker. If those young cats right there can handle it mentally, look out. Look out. If they can stay on the same page and not hurt themselves, look out.
It's the most remarkable story you will hear in sports this week. For sure. Those are the Lombard brothers, George and Jacob. George Lombard Jr. making his Major League debut for the Yankees last night, the youngest Yankee infielder to make his debut since Derek Jeter. His parents were there in attendance, and they were watching on their phone as Lombard Jr.'s younger brother Jacob made his professional debut for Single-A Jupiter. And at 7:09 p.m., Jacob, who was a first-round pick of the Marlins, hits a home run to left field. Jacob wanted his parents to be with his older brother at Yankee Stadium, but they're watching on the phone. They're excited. Now we go back to Yankee Stadium, bottom of 5, just over an hour later. This is George's second at bat, Ryan Ruocco.
Hit in the air, deep left field, Torres back, George Lombard Jr. has entered the yard and left it.
How about that night for the Lombard brothers? Lombard Jr.'s first hit in the majors is his first home run. Both brothers with homers in their respective debuts. Again, they came about an hour apart. By the way, the Yankees would win this game by a score of 2-0. But back to the brothers. They had nearly identical home runs, both coming in their second plate appearances. Both had the exact same launch angle. The exit velocity was only off by just under half a mile per hour. An absolutely magical night. Jessica Mendoza, what are the right things to say as we watch that moment for that family?
Oh, first of all, it's so special. And anyone that knows George Lombard Sr., I mean, watching mom and dad in that moment, how do you not get emotional? And they were actually with Jacob because they found out first he was making his debut. And Jacob said, no, George Jr. just got the call up. You got to go. So they booked it to get to that game in New York to be able to see George Jr. They had, as you mentioned, Jacob on the phone. But to me, it's about that hug, that moment. I mean, I'm a parent. You're a parent. I mean, just put yourself in the shoes. Are you freaking kidding me? Both your boys within minutes hitting a home run. And honestly, George Lombard, I mean, he's one of the greatest humans. So happy for him and his wife to see those two boys do what they did.
I always hated it when we got picked high. And I think sometimes when we didn't, it was a motivating factor for the players. Hopefully we can sneak up on some people this year and fly under the radar a little bit and surprise some people and not be the target for everyone like we have been in the past. And that might be beneficial to the team having more success. I'm certainly hopeful that that's what happens.
What did you think of that?
Stop it, Coach, already. I mean, we're talking about the University of Alabama here. We're not talking about some off-brand school, Greeny, in the middle of nowhere. When Nick Saban was the head coach, and by the way, Caleb Downs, who you talked about a few minutes ago, he only played there for 2 years and then left as soon as DeBoer got there. Alabama was number one in the country for, at some point, 15 straight years. They were the favorite, I think, at all but one game during a 16-game stretch. And Nick Saban's now trying to dumb down the DeBoer expectations, and I'm not having it. Alabama Alabama still has great players. They still have everything that you have to have. And I just don't like the fact that the former coach is trying to soft pedal his successor. It's like the dad telling the young son, it's okay if you strike out at the Little League game. It's not okay at Alabama, and that's the problem a lot of people have with Kalen DeBoer. They question whether he has the right DNA, and when Daddy Saban comes in and puts his arms around him after 8 losses in 2 seasons and inexplicable losses, it just doesn't play very well in Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, my goodness. Paul Feinbaum is ready for the start of the season.
You'll be trending soon.
Thank you,
My goodness.
Daddy
Thank you,
Saban.
Paul
Daddy
Feinbaum with
Saban.
us.